We are recording. Hello, everybody. Jackie D signing in for another of my JED Talks. I'm quite excited this morning because I have got Clara Apollo with me. Welcome, Clara. And we have been friends for many, many years. We sort of lost count, haven't we now? It's been so long. And uh, Clara has done some wonderful things over the years. She's been on Tea Time Radio and doing lots of interviews, and it's always a joy to share time with you, Clara. And I wish we had more time today, but we have got supposedly 10 minutes, but it's going to be more like 20. So I'm going to let you get into your flow and flow with your chi and see where that takes us, because it's all about elemental qigong this morning. Qigong, I'm sure I haven't pronounced that right, but over to you, Clara. Welcome, and please tell us a little bit of what you do and how you got to be where you are.
How long have we got?
20 minutes.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I always like to feel that time expands into the amount of time that is needed for what is happening. But then also we have a little eye on the time just to ensure that we don't waffle on too much.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Yeah, okay.
But brilliant, Jackie. So great that you're doing this and that you're starting off a new phase. Because I remember being part of your JED Talks in person, and I think I was there with Richard Ellis and Amanda Ellis. They're not,
Yes.
but that's the first time that they met. And of course, Richard Ellis having done his Qigong training with me back in the day, and we were talking about the Reiki and the Qigong, and that's still very much in contact and support one another.
Yeah.
And of course, Amanda Ellis, she's gone from strength to strength, and now is a guest on my Chi Time TV. So it's interesting how these threads come around, and that I'm so pleased you're doing your JED Talks, because this is part of the spiral of what wants to birth through you right now to help to connect and in the community in the way that we have to do it these days. So
I
yeah.
love that analogy of it birthing through me, because that is what it feels like. It's my baby. It's my new
It is.
venture, and
But isn't that true for anyone that's watching or listening? Is that
yeah,
this soul purpose piece? It might not be like it used to be. We are now in the age of Aquarius, so the way that we sense and feel and be is so heart led, and we've been practicing over the years to trust the energy of our hearts, trust the truth of our hearts, and now to birth that which wants to come through us is a kind of it's the way of being on purpose without it sounding too like, right, I must do this, I must do this. Isn't that? It's not like that now. There's more of a yin quality of leaning back, trusting the heart, and then speaking and acting forwards from that place of deep integrity that's connected to your spirit, as well as being planted into planet Earth. It's that whole multi-dimensional experience of being here at the moment that is something that I could wax on about for quite some time, but I think a lot of us are getting this now, and
yeah,
this. So with the qigong, so we're talking about going around the spiral with you and your JED talks. I've kind of gone around the spiral of how I'm sharing the qigong practice. So and trusting that what's coming through is what needs to come through that's right at the time. So you get your mind out the way, or you give your mind something to do that's on behalf of the heart. So
oh,
the
I love
mind,
that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
the
a lovely
mind and the
phrase.
heart and the body work as a whole systemic unit.
Mm.
Because that thing about meditation, like meditation is like when you switch off your mind. Yeah, right. That's not gonna happen, is it?
It's quite hard work, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. So what I suggest, or I reflect, or that I notice, and from my own practice and other people that we chat to, is that it's you engage the mind with what you want it to be doing, rather than it hamster wheeling and going off on one. So there's this reframing of the mind, and it's the practice of bringing yourself back to center, bringing yourself back to that focus that you've chosen for your meditation, knowing that the shopping list will come in, or what you did yesterday will come in. So that's gone, but bringing it back in, keep bringing it back in. That is the practice. So that is a challenge as well. But to sort of say that you can stop your mind, well, you can get Zen moments, you can, and they're
Mm,
rather
mm,
blissful
yeah,
portals, shall we say.
yeah,
But generally, when there's so much going on, how do we how do we harness the power of the mind? And I think this is where Qigong is just friggin' brilliant, because you have movement that engages the mind with how you placing your hands. Where are you? How is your shoulders feeling? What does it feel like to position yourself on the inside and move from that place? So the mind gets involved with the body that then expresses it, and you just become absorbed in the now moment, that there's
yeah,
kind of no
yeah.
room for the other stuff to get in, because it's fascinating.
Yeah. And certainly for me, you've just reminded me that when I used to when we lived more local, and I used to come when we were allowed to be in the physical, I used to come to some of your qigong sessions, and as my mind slowed down and my body relaxed, I can remember getting about halfway through one of your qigong sessions, and I was just so tired. I just wanted to go and sit in the corner. So something had clearly taken place just in that first part of the lesson with you. So
That is
yeah.
a really astute observation, that when we come into giving ourselves back to ourselves, often the thing we notice is how weary we are on the
Mm,
inside.
yeah.
And that needs to be acknowledged, because there's a lot of running, and there's a lot of expectation and pushing. There's a lot of yang action. Where is the yin? Where is the holding? Where is the softness? Where is the kindness? Where is the compassion for self? Where is the time we give ourselves to daydream? You know, these are all
Mm,
part of what we need, as well as the busy action. So we get tired of doing, and experiencing the being. It takes you on a journey of what you need in that moment. And
mm,
sometimes you do just need to go and rest. And having naps, I'm trying to train myself to have naps, because I read about how great they are. And I know that if I let myself, it does really work. But it's not easy to let go in the middle of the afternoon, when just crack on a bit and do
yeah.
what you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's this reframing of your personal relationship with your energy that I know underpins everything that you do. Um,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and when you're saying about those Zen moments, quite often when I'm walking in the forest, or sometimes even when I'm not walking in the forest, I'm just going about my daily business. All of a sudden, a thought will strike me. I'll just have a thought, and it will lead on, and I can get quite into a deep conversation within myself, and it's like I'm just so focused on having this like one way conversation with myself, really, where these thoughts just keep coming in. And um, yeah, I like to think of them actually as Zen moments, and sometimes I act on them, sometimes I don't. Depends. It might be a personal message for me or a message to share with the world. So yeah, I think we
Well,
all
I love that.
perhaps.
And what you're describing is giving yourself the space so that those conversations can drop in, because
Mm,
that's your connection to your soul. I feel
yeah.
that, and it's a quiet, a subtle voice. Doesn't shout, but it's there, and it's waiting for you to have time to open. And often walks in nature, when you're just trying to, you've got the rhythm of the walk, you might be running a little mantra like everything works together to create my highest good. Now that's a Barefoot Doctor one that I'm running, that I love to work with when I'm walking. Just something that brings your mind into the now, and then you just zone, as you say, Zen moments. So then there's space for spirit to speak to you, and to, yeah, open up to, again, what wants to flow through you. And it's another way of inhabiting yourself in another dimension, that is
Mm,
not so 3D orientated. So yeah, it's beautiful.
oh, I feel myself relaxing just listening to you, Clara. You talk, I'll just sit.
Yeah.
It's, you just got so much profound wisdom, and so tell us a little bit of what you're actually doing now, because you're doing your online elemental.
Well,
So tell us.
yeah, I tell you what, Jackie, it was a real funk when we had to go into lockdown, because Barefoot Doctor had just died, which
Oh
was, like, you
yes,
can imagine, really was pretty shocking.
yeah.
And So and that was the last. I was teaching a workshop that the weekend after his memorial, and we were doing the primordial qigong, and it was the last time that I taught in in person, and there were a couple of people there that were beautiful friends that supported, and actually the practice supported my process, because he was Stephen was very involved with Tai Chi and Qigong and Taoist, and he's taught me so much about all of that.
Mm.
So it felt a real honor to him that that's how I was behaving that weekend after his memorial. And so, but then I've been running the Qigong, elemental Qigong teacher training since 2012. And I'd been running that when I was also home free. So I was living in Austria and France and Spain, but I was flying back in every 6 weeks to do the teacher training. And that really kept me connected in with beautiful people that were coming through the trainings and back into the New Forest. And so I'd set up now that so then I stopped being home free. That's something that you and I have in common there.
Yeah, absolutely.
One another there.
Yeah.
And I was drawn to live in Avalon. I just came back from a retreat in France, 2019, and just said, I have to find somewhere to live. I can't do what I'm being asked to do unless I have my own support, unless I have my own home.
Mm.
Where am I going to live? And the West Country just called me over. This is a long story short.
Yes, if you could tell us a bit about what Avalon actually means. For some of our viewers won't have heard of Avalon and
Oh,
Glastonbury.
it's the way that I describe the Glastonbury and the surrounding areas. So this is Somerset. So
Yeah.
this is the magical land of Avalon. And it does feel different here. Um, the history here, and the energy of where it is in relation to the world, and it's the heart chakra of the world. And
Mm. The
um,
spiritual centre of the UK.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, indeed. But I'm about 20 miles south of Glastonbury, and I love to visit, but I also love coming back here because I live on the top of a hill, and we see amazing views over the levels. And it's in an old, it's part of a stable complex that was to do with the convent here and this big church. So I can feel the history here as well, of like dedication to spiritual practice, and that's really lovely to tap in with as well, so that I can bring on my dancing and my drumming and my chiing and my sounding, which is and I can do this here and not disturb anyone. So that was another big piece of it.
Yeah.
So so it was like, well, how am I going to teach? So I couldn't teach in person the teacher training. I mean, could I even do this online? It was like, I don't flip it now, do I? So I just I've got this Facebook community called the Cheeky Temple, ChiQiTemple.
Yeah. I love
Welcome,
that.
you know, Jackie's part of that. And I just started experimenting and going, who wants to do a live? Should we see how this goes? And then got a crew together that wanted to go a little bit deeper. So did a 6 week course, and then tuned in with, again, round the spiral, was remembering how I used to teach back in the leisure centres, that I used to run Qigong sessions for about 10 years out of 3 leisure centres in the New Forest.
Yeah.
And I'd run them, the courses, like 6, 7, 8 week courses, around the themes of the seasons, because my training is in elemental Qigong, which is linked to the shamanic practice of looking at nature and the fundamental truths that are in there, and the association with the body organs and the color and the sound. It's just so rich.
Yeah.
And so I picked up on this again, which has been such a joy for me. And over the time, I've been able to deliver online courses, and we've got a lovely group of people that are coming in and training to that level. And now it's asking me to do some other stuff. So we're about to go live on the next course, which is called Steep into Spring, and it's really tuning in
Deep,
with the energy of the spring. And
deep, deep into
deep
spring.
into spring. Yeah, you know me, I'm such a word player,
Yeah.
and got
Yeah.
that from Barefoot Stephen as
Yeah.
well. But
Yeah.
and but this is also, not only is it like picking up on the energy of the springtime and how you can tune into that, you can ride on it if you know
Mm.
how to empty out and sit and recognize that energy coming through, or receive it coming through, because it wants to come through you from a deep connection to Mother Earth. That's always totally the place we start, the honoring of the fact that she's always there supporting you. And she consistent support from the Great Mother, it's so easy to forget because it's always there.
Yeah.
And from there you go through the water elements, of the water within the earth that nourishes everything. We're just coming out of the water element per se at the moment, though it's always there as a support. but the water over the winter and all the layers and the levels of the transformational qualities of water. And we do meditation standing in lakes and the color of the lakes, and we do movements as if we're moving underwater, and it's just lush and flow and juicy, and I love it.
I can feel
And so
that.
there's going to be some of that in this next course, but that's also going to be leading into how the wood element dips in, sorry, dips into the water and the earth to receive the nourishment so it can grow in this natural creative way, and that we have that within us, what naturally wants to, grow through us. So we're planting the seeds. It's in bulk on Monday, tuning in with all of that. What are we wanting to really birth right now? What are the visions? What are we dreaming in? Because it's pretty imperative that we get clear on our dreams now
Mm,
and strengthen together as, individuals and as a collective, being very clear on what it is we want to see in the world. And
mm,
this, so powering ourselves up from the inside, trusting the support of Mother Nature and all the elements, being in touch with our spiritual selves to bring through the best for humanity at this time.
So
That's what I'm
we're
doing.
in bulk already. I feel like we've only just had the winter solstice.
It's sort of, yeah, that's true. Imbolc comes between the winter solstice and the vernal equinox. So it's like halfway between. That's why it's the quickening of the spring. It's not actually the spring. It's the beginning of the little murmurings, the moving towards the light. You know, the 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 daffodils are starting to come up, and there's this movement upwards again. And you know how strong that power is to grow up through the earth. It's such a potency. Well, you have that in you. What
Yeah.
would you like to tune in with that and actually harness that power within you of what you want to see as you move more towards the light?
Mm, mm.
Mm.
And I've been looking at the snowdrops actually in the garden this morning, and they were very beautiful, and there were a little bit of colour in a bare, what's otherwise a bare garden, and it sort of reminded me of the undercurrent of Mother Nature, that she's been working actually. She's been working all winter under the ground, sewing these threads and starting to push things upwards again, and that time of rest. It's still all going on, whether we're aware of it or not. And
Oh, I love that you said that,
I,
that there's this time of rest. And we kind of think, oh, resting is like giving up. It's like nothing going on with resting. No, as you just said, if you rest, what can go on that needs to go on? And that's support under the covers, or so deep in you. When you go into rest, you go into parasympathetic nervous system, which means
Mhm.
the self-healing can occur, which
Yeah.
means the anti-inflammatory stuff can happen. You can release the chronic stress patterns, but you need to. That's why rest and napping and letting go is so important for us to practice and give ourselves that back, because we're all under chronic stress right now. There's like there's a trauma rolling through our society, and
Yes.
it's not normal to run on adrenaline. It's not normal to live in isolation. It's not normal to have to um, keep yourself cooped up and masked up and paranoid and fear. This is anti-humanity. And don't get me wrong, I mean, I don't know what the answer is here apart from I keep asking truth and all of that. I think one of the key points is keeping well, keeping sane, and being in contact with like-hearted humans. It's absolutely fundamental
Yeah.
to our
Yeah.
survival to be able to be in true contact with people that get us, so that. And
Mm,
yeah, I have these conversations with my son, who thinks very differently from me. And he said, I don't want to talk about that. And I don't want to talk about that. I said, yeah, but then we get a load of elephants in the room that we can't talk about. We have to find a way of discussing the things that maybe we think differently about. And
yeah.
let's have a discussion or a debate rather than an argument of I'm right and you're wrong. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and this is
Yeah.
coming into this sort of polarity, how we talk about unity consciousness, but when we've got the polarity so far removed, how does one side even consider the other side? And but we have to find a way. So with the qigong, there's the harmonizing movements of, like, there's the yin and yang in you, there's the yang that wants to do, and the yin that's going, please let me hold you. How can we let this within us, the polarity within us, harmonize, so that you know, the yin yang, as I've got on the back wall, those are two separate sides, but they form a whole
Yeah.
as one. So we need the dance of the dark and the light, the up and the down, the in and the out, to
Yeah.
form the unity consciousness. So it's not one or the other, it's both and that's
Yeah.
what I play with.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. And it's just, just a funny thought occurred to me then as you were talking, how many elephants could we hold in one room without getting squashed?
I know, it's a flipping herd. But if you say to somebody, look, there's an elephant in the room here, they know that you're about to go into a topic that might be a bit contentious. But if you breathe into your heart, feel the earth supporting you, and
Yeah.
say, I know this might not be easy to talk about, but I really would like to be able to have a discussion with you. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Mm.
Um, and this is how I've approached my son, who's super opinionated and very strong-willed, and he fact checks everything. And I'm okay. Tell me what you know, but also I'd like you to listen to what I have to share and all of that. So that's what we can do personally with
Yeah.
the relationships that we have. So that you said there are people that in different families that think very differently, and it's like that's good. It provides discussion points.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and
As
it
long as you can do it
opportunity
safely and
to
yeah, safely and honestly. So, oh my goodness, we've been speaking for 20 minutes. Clara, thank you so much. And I'm just going to ask you one last question. If you can very briefly, if you've got one message to share with the world today, what would it be?
oh, well, we've covered some of the key points that
Yeah.
are very important.
Yeah.
I think self-respect. If you don't look after yourself, nobody else will.
Nobody's going to do it for you.
Who's
Yeah.
going to do it for you? So self-responsibility, self-care, self-kindness, and tuning in with the methods and modalities, movements, meditations that resonate with your soul and your body, so that you do embody that which you want to be. It's all well and good doing your meditations and your spiritual work, but if your body's not healthy, if you're not bringing that actually through, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So please take care of your beautiful bodies. They're a miracle. We have this wonderful unit to use to transport our spirits around the world while we're in incarnation here. It's a miracle that we have these fantastic bodies. Let's just be a bit kinder to them and work with them. And when we bring this kindness to ourselves, that ups our immune system, that de-stresses the fear, that clears some space for what wants to birth through you. And just to trust that you're here at this time for a reason. And don't underestimate your power. You're
Oh,
strong,
I just
strong being.
love that. I love that phrase you just used about this vehicle that transports our spirit around the world. I'm going to steal that.
It's all here to share. That's what we're doing
Yeah,
now.
thank you.
Sharing
Thank you.
sharing what's coming through us. It's not mine. It just came through me for all of us, like your wisdom comes through you for all of us too. And anyone watching or listening, what have you got up your sleeve that you'd like to share?
Yeah, exactly. What have you got up your sleeve? And get sharing, get engaging. If
Yeah.
you've enjoyed this talk here with Clara and myself today, then do share. And if you want to share some of your wisdom with me and do one of these interviews, then get in touch with me. I've got about 7 or 8 lined up for the next couple of weeks. So these are going to be ongoing. And I'm loving it, and I hope you are too. So big thank you to Clara. Yay! And
It's absolutely joy to be in your presence. You're such a sunny being with so much heart and love that it's, thank you. Thank
let
you
my
for
eyes
being
be.
here.
So yeah, and if you want to get on the qigong trail, then get in touch with Clara. I'll post her details under this link. So big love to everybody, and I'll see you on the next one.
Keep your chi up, my friends.